Hey, beautiful people, how's it going? Welcome to Doesn't Make the Cut podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Wright. I'm from the Gitsan Wet'suwet'en Nation.
And I'm Timko Hayeks at Gaba Nick Dangeli from the Nisgat, Tsimshian, Tlingit, Haida, Gitsan, Tsitawit, and Colville nations. If you're new here, welcome. We're an indigenous film TV review podcast that you can only watch on YouTube, listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
I'm in the film industry. I'm assistant director by profession, sometimes writer, producer, kind of jack of all trades, except for camera.
And in the film industry, I'm an actor, film director, and film screenwriter working on my production company, Dangeli Productions.
If you feel that we are worthy and you enjoy what we have to say, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. You have no idea how much that helps with the channel. It helps us grow.
And we would like to acknowledge we're bringing this podcast to you on the traditional unceded Coast Salish territories of our Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations in Vancouver, BC, in Canada. We thank our Coast Salish relatives for allowing us to live, work, and podcast in their traditional territory.
But here we go. Okay, so today's episode is Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
So, non-spoilers. Sorry, there's a car driving by. Yeah, I'll say that again.
No.
So, non-spoilers, really quick here. It's garbage. Most of the remakes that we see now don't need to happen. I personally don't want to see a live-action shot-by-shot remake that is just basically a soulless creative decision by a soulless company right now.
Ooh, man. This is going to make a good conversation. You know why, man? I totally feel the opposite on this.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's hear your side of the argument.
All right. All right. So this is going to be really nice. This is nice, man. I really like this.
Okay.
Okay. So, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's because I went in with very low expectations. But I do agree on that point, what you just said, is that a lot of the remakes and the live action remakes, I should say, are very beat to beat. I found that with Lion King that came out a few years ago. That was very beat to beat on exactly the animated version. This one, I don't know, maybe I haven't seen the classic Pinocchio in years, but I don't know. I think what was nice about this one for me was that, I don't know, it was something different. Like, maybe it's the visuals, the sound design. Like, there was things in there that I felt were really strong. I feel like it did have a really strong cast as well. And I don't know, maybe it's because I don't know. I mean, lately with a lot of stuff, I do agree. Like with Disney, it's become very, I don't know, it's definitely quantity over quality. But for this one, I don't know. I actually really found myself enjoying it. There were like some really like enjoyable moments in there. And it wasn't until, honestly, like I didn't look at any reviews, I didn't look at any videos prior to watching it. I just put it on, and afterwards I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, like this is getting like really bad reviews. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And then it got me into a thing of like thinking like, well, I don't know, or like I think I want to hear more of your opinion on this, because from what I've been just seeing, the trend a lot lately is people just hating on like film and movies coming out because of whether it's like the company that's doing it or what. But I feel like lately nowadays, I mean, I feel the same way about Thor: Love and Thunder. I feel like I'm one of the rare people who actually love the movie. But I just feel like, I don't know, a lot of times we're just in this age where people are so quick to judge and so quick to hate on things without, I don't know, I don't know, what are your thoughts on this?
The dialogue, or rather most of the dialogue and some of the writing really does suck. Like, the scene. Well, wait, that's spoiler. Never mind. Okay, so the dialogue, the writing, and some of the aesthetics of the characters. The example, Honest John, and his friend, the little cat there. They looked a little too realistic. You'd think that they would have learned something from Lion King, because everyone is saying that Lion King just looked too realistic, and it traveled along the lines of Uncanny Valley. It's come to a point where taking things a little too safe with the aesthetic side, which is funny that I say that, because some other scenes actually doesn't look. Some of the other aesthetics that they chose wasn't too bad. They were faithful with Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket themselves, but other aspects like Honest John, not so much. And for me personally, I had a hard time sitting through this. I had to pause 4 different times, and I kept saying, I can't. I can't. I have to do something else. And I go back to Lost. And
Dang.
this project gave me a mental breakdown. It gave me an ulcer, and probably shortened my lifespan by 5 years. So I demand compensation from Disney. No, I'm joking.
Free month of membership.
3.
Okay, well that makes sense. Yeah, like there were moments. It's crazy to think yeah. So let's take the Honest John, his look in there. I didn't mind it. You know what kind of got me though was just the cat. The cat was like, because everything else was like very visually. I mean, in my eyes, it was like really pleasing, but the cat itself, I think it was too animated, because I feel like there needs to be a good fine line. Like let's take another previous like live action Disney, like Jungle Book. I love that Jungle Book movie. I feel like that was like in a good way of, if you're wanting to do a live action with like animals and stuff, that was a good route to go. They're very animated, but they're animated with their personality, which we all loved like growing up watching the classic movies. So that in that sense, it was the cat that just kept reminding me like, okay, like, yeah, this is a fantasy movie. It was just like, it was too CGI'd for my taste on the cat. But overall, I don't know, man. Like I really thought, yeah, the visuals were really good. I really loved the sound design in this. Like the smallest little details from like, if you just hear any like the tapping, or especially a lot of like the really like the details in so much of the scenes in this movie, I thought were just done really well. Tom Hanks, freaking guy, I don't know, it's rare for him to really, I mean, yeah, this could be maybe considered a bad movie, but I mean, his performances are never bad. And I feel like his performance in this was like super strong, man. Really heartfelt. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I didn't realize that he played Jiminy Cricket until I looked it up.
He hit his voice pretty well.
Oh yeah, dude. Like sometimes it was on the borderline of Mickey Mouse, but I mean it was good. Luke Evans as well. Like I can't remember when they went to that Pleasure Island. Like I didn't recognize that was him either.
That was some crazy makeup they put him in.
Yeah, and even the kid who played Pinocchio himself, I thought did a really amazing job. So, and then the fairy as well. I really enjoyed the fairy that came in. She had a really beautiful voice. And yeah, and like I felt like a lot of the music aspects made me go back into my childhood. I don't know, maybe I do. Maybe I should probably give this a second watch, but during my first experience of watching it, I really liked it. I didn't look up anything. I just took it, once it came out and we decided to do the review on this, I just went straight into it. Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was.
Absolutely right. Tom Hanks will always give it his all. The man's a professional. But that being said, like there's a weird fine line that Robert Zemeckis put Hanks here, and those two always work together. He showed on screen a lot, but at the same time, he really didn't do much. Sometimes he was just kind of there. That kind of sums up some of the other scenes in here but it doesn't offer much. And that's the biggest detriment of this movie, is that it's too damn long. Like, it's almost 2 hours. No kid wants to sit through an almost 2 hour movie when a kid probably wants to watch the cartoon instead, because everything is very animated. Everyone's very colorful, and there's a lot of charm to it. Not that this one doesn't have its charm. You're absolutely right. The Blue Fairy was very charming, even though her wings were kind of freaking me out. It looked more alien than ethereal, but that's just me.
Yeah, it was pretty long. It was pretty long. And you're absolutely right. Like, if you're wanting to have it for the younger audience, like, you got to be considerate of attention span. You know, I think there were some parts when they went to Pleasure Island, dude. The donkey scene, like, even in the classic one and even this one, that scene still fucking scares me, man. like having the kids turn into freaking donkeys. I remember watching the classic one and being so freaked out of that scene of, like, when they're, like, transforming and you can see, like, Pinocchio's little buddy that he's hanging out with, like, how he's, like, turning into it and starts, like, freaking out. Like, I think that the scene was still pretty freaky in this one. I kind of felt like they kind of went pretty wide on the shot. But, so that kind of, like, I don't know, we talked about this in Antlers too. It kind of takes away from certain moments. You know, they were able to hit some beats. I do agree. Like, if I rewatch that classic one, maybe it is, like, the beat by beat. But what do you... So, Disney right now are showing that they're not going to be stopping with the live actions. It seems like they're just remaking all the classics. But I mean, this goes into another conversation. Like, for yourself, would you like to see the newer live action ones for a new generation, for them to, you know, see these beloved classics and then go back to the classics? Or, you know, I mean, this is just Hollywood in general, where they're just remakes after remakes. But I mean, if we lived in a world where they don't touch the classics, like, which ones would you rather prefer?
The classics will always be there, and I do like the idea that a new generation gets to experience a classic story. Unfortunately, with Disney's track record, most of the live action remakes are not very good, and I could name, like, a couple that were actually not too bad. Like, I actually did like Aladdin. Like, I know, like, that one got a lot of controversy as well. Some parts I liked Sleeping Beauty, but some parts I didn't. But aside from that, I would much rather see Disney grow a pair of balls, make something completely original. Right now they're walking the safe path, the safe route. While it is kind of working, is not sustainable. It's not, like, right now they are really shooting themselves in the foot.
I agree with you on that, because some of them, like, you're right, like, you can always just go back to the originals. There were only, like, a couple that I can really honestly say that I really enjoyed. Yeah, I did quite enjoy Aladdin, because I felt like they added some newer scenes, or it's just some, like, taking more of a route on things. Same with Jungle Book, and even, like, one of their first ones that they were doing live action, like the Maleficent and Cinderella. Like, I felt like those were able to do things in a really well way. Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, shit. Even they did straight to Disney Plus. What was that one? Lady and the Tramp.
I forgot about that
one. Yeah, I didn't like that one. Like, I love the original, the classic one, but I mean, it's really interesting because next year we do have Little Mermaid. Disney did show their next lineup, like, they're doing, like, a Mufasa prequel, which is pretty interesting. So there are no dire need to stop doing these. You know, if they find ways to take, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just giving them way too much things there, because it's all about the money. So that's why they keep going back to these properties that are, like, shit, 50, 40 years old. Something that's just redone over and over instead of expanding on something new. Newer projects, newer lineups. That's why I really love Pixar. The Pixar movies, because I just feel like they're just, each time there's something different.
With the exception of Lightyear.
Which actually, I didn't mind. That was another one that I felt like wasn't necessarily deemed to be a kids movie because of the length and because of like what was shown in there. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I like just makes me think. I'm just like, geez, am I like bad movies at
Well, at the end of the day, like it's all subjective. At the end of the day, like
oh yeah.
So I think that kind of wraps up non-spoiler section. The general gist of it will probably echo in the spoiler section. So my rating of this is a reshoot. Reshoot the whole damn thing. Retcon the entire movie.
Ooh, reshoot. For those of you who don't know, that's a 2 out of 3. At first, I did a fine cut. Before we started, actually, I was so confident. Like, I thought we were both. Before like we started recording, I thought we were both on the same page on this. I was like, oh, it was a pretty good one. And then you were like, "This is get the worst one out of the bunch." And I was like, oh shit. And so then I like rethought it. I was like, okay.
Well, don't let me influence your decision.
No, not at all. It's just like but this really allows me to like really think, because I just have a hard time of. That's why I love having these talks, because it creates a really good conversation. So for me overall, I feel like this movie was a fine cut. There were some things that I felt could have done better, but overall, I think for me it was just the visuals, the sound design, a lot of the performances. Yeah, the dialogue was, and the pacing I felt was a little slow, a little bit minor CGI stuff. But overall, I found myself actually getting a good joy.
So there you have it, folks. That is the non-spoiler section. If you haven't seen it, well, you can watch it at your own risk. And then you can come back to us for the spoiler section. But until then, this is your final warning. We are going to be diving into spoilers right now. And we'll give them a moment to click off. Right off the bat, where I knew, like, the scenes where it feels like a mess is when Geppetto is alone and he's muttering to himself like a madman, and just like, what the fuck you on about, dude? Like, Jesus Christ, you're just muttering to yourself like you're lonely and shit, which he is lonely. That scene lingered on for far too long. The follow-up scene where Jiminy is talking to Pinocchio, Jiminy says one thing, Pinocchio is echoing, and that scene went, that back and forth, that shit went on for far too long. And that kind of sums up a bunch of the majority of the scenes here in this movie. Is the pacing is too long, but at the same time the transitions to the next scene is just so abrupt. There's no breathing room.
Yeah. So and that was the one thing that definitely caught me in this, that I felt like they were expanding even just the scenes a bit more with him. Maybe it's because it's just Tom Hanks. Yeah, that just got me thinking too. I was like, oh, here's just a minor thing that now that I'm having the chance to talk about this. Okay, so towards the end, right? Pinocchio goes back to his home, and he sees Geppetto's gone, and all the clocks are gone. The clocks that he absolutely loved and adored would not sell.
Yeah.
And then he sells it to get a boat to try to find Pinocchio, but Pinocchio finds him, and then the boat gets wrecked by the sea monster. And I was kind of like, that is another point that I'm really thinking on. I'm just like, storyline lies. I mean, that's probably in the OG one too. He gave his heart to try to find his son. I don't know what he was trying to do, just ended up not working to begin with.
Yeah. Once again, I will double down on what I'm saying. There really is no need to remake any of these. I think there's a lot of wasted talent, a lot of wasted potential here. This funding could have easily went to something else, something original, because the cast is impressive. Like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hanks, Luke Evans. Once again, did not recognize him at all. The Blue Fairy, Cynthia Arrivo. I probably butchered it. I'm sorry. Of course, our boy Keegan Michael Key. I think there's a missed opportunity to bring Jordan Peele in as a cat to bring in a proper banter between those two.
Oh, that would have been cool, like what they did with Toy Story.
Yeah, exactly. So they should have brought Jordan Peele, but that's my guess is he's probably busy with Nope. So that's why he didn't show up.
Nice little like cute story they had with Pinocchio in the girl puppet.
Yeah, when I first saw the girl puppet on the upper third there, I was like, is that a Bratz doll? Because it genuinely looks like a Bratz doll.
Oh yeah. But I thought that was a nice little sweet story there. There was some things on there.
I did like Sabina as a character, and right there, like, yeah, I'm gonna call her in the original. She's completely new. I did like Sabina, but I think like her story, like, it should have been her own movie. This is the perfect formula. Someone who's got a lot of talent, but the manager or the owner of this talent show doesn't see the potential, so she's always off on the sideline. So this kind of correlates what I'm trying to say, where there's too much going on at the same time. There's not enough. That being said, really quick, the seagull, I think she's new, Sophia. I didn't like Sophia. She was kind of annoying. She was just kind of there. She had like one thing to do. She's like, oh, I know what your pet. Oh, she's over there. La, 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 la. Just like, great. So
that makes sense. Yeah, you know, jeez, man, any type of sea creature, dude, I can't do.
No, me neither. My thalassophobia is fucked up. Like, I have a hard time getting through some of Witcher scenes because the ocean, like, there's things in the ocean. My mind's playing tricks on me.
Really? Yeah, dude. It's funny, even though, like, I don't know, I come from ocean people. I don't know. If I can't see the bottom, it freaks me out. Yeah. And yeah, and the fact too that, you know, like I definitely believe like there are creatures, and we only know about like, what is it, like 5% of the ocean.
Yeah, and there's another ocean below our ocean. So once again, we don't know what the fuck's down there. So.
That's what's crazy, and you know. Just a little side thing. I had a dream one time about meeting eye to eye with a sea serpent.
Yeah.
And I was underwater, and all I had was a little tiny knife. The sea serpent ate me, and then I had to like gut my way out of the serpent. But that freaked me out, man, because I was just like floating in the water. And so anytime I see a sea creature in any movie, I get mad anxiety.
No, same here. Like, the things that always fuck me up is squids. Like, giant squid, big fin squid. That one's the creepiest one of the bunch because...
Jeez, the Kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, so it's all... Like...
It's freaky, man.
It is. Like,
it's the unknown.
A friend of mine went for a dip in the ocean. They're like, Mike, you want to come in too? Like, no, that's right. I'm right over here. So I'm like,
fuck.
Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. So I'm not going in there.
Yeah. That, you know, and that I feel like speaking of just the visuals in this, you know, that in sea creatures too, the sea creature in there was pretty freaky. Like I thought it was just a whale, but this thing had like tentacles and shit too.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty crazy. You know, I want to watch a video on all the Easter eggs because I felt like inside the belly of the beast there was some pretty good interesting things that beast swallowed up. So yeah, I thought that was in those aspects, you know. And also too, like, I'm not usually like I'm not really down for musicals. I'm not really like into musical movies. This one I felt like the music that I felt like came into it wasn't too long for me. Yeah. So it was okay on that sense.
That's enough bitching and moaning on my part. Some of the positives, because everything I already mentioned is how I feel about the movie. Makeup, it's all pretty damn good. Luke Evans, didn't recognize him. The costuming really does work because I really did feel like I was in that time period whether it's like 1800s or 1700s, wherever it's supposed to be. Yeah, you're right. Some of the CGI did work, like the sea monster there. Like, it was a little over designed for my taste. Still, it did the job. My one complaint about that scene is that there was no build up like the original. I remember in the original, there was a lot of suspense. There's a lot of build up to what this thing is, and here it's just like, roar! It just pops up.
Right, there's just one line before it came up. I'm in agreement there. It's on my mind right now. There. Did you happen to catch all those little Easter eggs in the clocks?
The clocks, that was awesome. Like, I saw I saw Woody. There was a bunch of other Disney classics. I imagine when or if it could be foreshadowing for like Disney trying to release a bunch of clocks, and that's just their advertisement right there. If so,
yeah, I think Snow White. I think Snow White's one of their projects that they're working on too, and I saw that.
Right.
That was one of the clocks in there. Yeah, they had like freaking almost all their classic properties on those clocks. I could see why he didn't want to get rid of them.
No, they're yeah. So that wraps it up. Once again, it is a what did I say? Rough cut? Yeah, rough. No, reshoot. Okay, so it is a reshoot for me. Like, retcon the entire thing, but that's just me. Sorry, folks. Sorry, this was really negative episode, but unfortunately, negative views, negative opinions generates the most views, which is kind of sad.
Kind of sad, but I feel like this was a good conversation because of the fact that we both had different opinions on this.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I feel like it created like really good conversation for me. Yeah, there were some parts, but not enough to for me not to still gain some enjoyment out of this. And that's the thing with all movies and TV. You know, that's what creates this really good talks, is that it's all subjective. And with that said, for me, this is still was a nice fine cut of a movie.
You made it this far. First of all, you're awesome. You're badass. I'm happy that you're here with us. You stuck through it. And once again, going to whore ourselves here. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and we'll catch you at the next one.